everybody, I'm Steffi, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about something that's going on in astronomy right now. Today is April 3rd, 2020, and right now Venus is passing through the Pleiades. The Pleiades is an asterism, and it's a group of stars that isn't a full constellation, but we still have a name for it, kind of like the Big Dipper, which is another asterism, and it's probably the most famous one, but it's actually part of the constellation Ursa Major, so we call it an asterism instead of a constellation. So the Pleiades is another asterism, and it's within Taurus the Bull, which you may have heard of if you're into like astrology or Greek mythology. And so right now, Venus passes through that asterism, that little bit of the constellation. And this is unique because it only happens about once every 8 years because of how the tilt of the rotations of Venus and Earth line up. So this will happen again in 2028. But it's a really interesting phenomenon where you can see Venus within the Pleiades, and Venus is super bright. I actually took a picture of it with my phone before the sun was completely set, and you can even see it with a cell phone with like no special night apps or anything. The Pleiades is a little dimmer, especially compared to Venus, but you can still see it. I actually could see it from my backyard here in the Salt Lake Valley, so you should be able to go out at night and see it for the next 2 nights. It'll be out the 3rd and the 4th of April, and then check that out. So it'll be up in the western sky. When I was out, it's a little bit northwestern sky, so like I was up in Immigration Canyon looking at it, and it was kind of out where the Great Salt Lake would be. So like if you were in Provo, it would be up towards like Utah Lake. So those are some examples of where it'll be. Venus is super bright. Right after sunset, it will be the second brightest thing in the sky. The brightest will be the moon, which you all know what the moon looks like. And then Venus will look super bright. It looks like it's a star, but it's actually not. Some of the brightest things in the sky are actually planets. So if you find Venus, you'll be able to watch it as the sun goes down and as it gets darker, and there will start to be some stars coming out around it, and that is the Pleiades. So now I'm going to show you a picture of what the Pleiades looks like with Venus passing through it. I'll show you a couple of pictures, and then you guys can go out and look for it tomorrow. So, looking for the Pleiades, you have a couple of options. One I mentioned is that you can find Venus. Since it's going to be so bright, it'll be really easy to spot. The other option is that you can use something like a star chart or a star tracking app, and that will help you also be able to identify the Pleiades in Taurus. And I'll show you a screenshot of what the star finding app that I use. It's called Star Tracker. But I also use a Planesphere, which is like a wheel that you can turn, and I'll put up a picture of that as well. Okay, happy stargazing! So this is the Planesphere I use, and what you do is you set it to the time. So I chose 9 p.m. and then you look at it April, and I set it to the 1st or 2nd, and then it shows you where the stars are going to be. So if we look at it, we have Taurus right here, and that's where we would look. And you see right here it says west, so that means it's on the western horizon.